You have been taught to believe that reality responds to effort, intention, or desire. But desire is not what moves the quantum field. Effort is not what bends timelines. Visualization alone is not what reorganizes your reality. There is something deeper, something more ancient, something powerful that you have felt but perhaps never understood. It is the state of consciousness that Christ demonstrated, the state that mystics described, the state where the boundary between you and the field dissolves. It is the God state, and when you operate from this state, reality responds instantly. Before you understand how the field reacts, you must understand who you are when you ask. Because reality is not shaped by the words you speak or the thoughts you think. It is shaped by the level of consciousness you occupy. Every moment you are broadcasting a frequency, not with your mind first, but with your entire being. The universe listens to that frequency long before it listens to your requests. And the truth is simple. When you speak from separation, the field reflects separation. When you speak from fear, the field mirrors fear. But when you speak from the God state, the field reorganizes itself without resistance. This is why so many people try to manifest and nothing happens. They are asking from a fractured identity. They are trying to change reality from a place disconnected from their own power. They are begging for outcomes from the same level of consciousness that created the problem. They are trying to shift timelines while standing outside the version of themselves that has already shifted. You may recognize this in your own journey. Wanting something so intensely, but feeling the gap between you and the version of your life where that desire is fulfilled. That gap is not closed by effort. It is closed by embodiment. The God state is not about religion. It is not about a figure in the sky or doctrine. It is a frequency, a level of consciousness, a state where you remember your true position in the field, a state where you stop asking as someone who lacks and begin acting as someone who already is. In this state, the mind becomes silent, the heart becomes coherent, the body becomes receptive, and the field responds because you are no longer requesting reality to change. You are becoming the version of you who exists in the reality you seek. As you step into this journey, you will learn what the God state truly is. You will see how it operates in your body, mind, and energy. You will understand why coherence is the only language the field recognizes. Most of all, you will rediscover the part of you that has always known how to command reality through presence, identity, and unity with the field. This is the beginning of remembering who you are. Why manifestation does not work. You have tried to manifest many times. You have asked, visualized, imagined, repeated affirmations, and held pictures of the future in your mind. And yet there were moments when nothing changed. Moments where reality remained exactly as it was no matter how much desire you applied. If you have ever felt this frustration, you must understand one truth. Manifestation fails when the inner state does not match the request. You cannot receive from the field what your identity does not embody. Most people try to manifest from a state of separation. They ask for something because they feel disconnected from it. They want abundance because they feel lack. They want love because they feel alone. They want purpose because they feel lost. They want change because they feel stuck. But the quantum field does not respond to want. It responds to being. The emotional state behind the desire tells the field more than the desire itself. When you want something intensely, you unknowingly reinforce the absence of that thing in your current identity. You are saying to the field, I am not the person who has this yet. And the field simply mirrors that truth back to you. The more you chase the desire, the more you amplify the gap. This is why effort often pushes the manifestation away. The vibration of wanting is the vibration of lack, and lack cannot create fulfillment. There is also a deeper layer. Many people attempt to manifest while holding a fractured identity. They believe they want something, but their nervous system is still conditioned to past experiences, old emotions, and outdated beliefs. The body does not believe what the mind is trying to command. You may tell yourself you are abundant, but your body remembers fear. You may tell yourself you are worthy, but your body still carries rejection. You may imagine a new timeline, but your body is anchored in the old one. The quantum field responds to coherence, not contradiction. When your mind says one thing, but your body emits another, the field listens to your body. This is why change feels slow. This is why manifestation feels blocked. You are trying to create a new world from the frequency of the old one. And until your internal state shifts, the external world cannot reorganize. The problem is not your desire. The problem is the state from which you ask. When you step into the God state, this barrier collapses. Because in that state, there is no separation, no contradiction, no lack, and no effort. what the God state truly is. The God state is not a mystical idea or a religious concept. It is a level of consciousness where you stop experiencing yourself as a separate individual trying to change reality and begin experiencing yourself as the awareness through which reality is formed. It is the moment where identity expands beyond the personality, beyond the past, and beyond the mind. In the God state, you are no longer a fragment of consciousness. You are the field itself expressing through a form. This state has nothing to do with superiority or ego. It has nothing to do with claiming divinity as a title. It is about remembering your original nature. The God state is a frequency of coherence, a frequency where your mind, heart, and body operate in unity instead of conflict, a frequency where you no longer ask reality to give you something. You simply align with the version of you who already has it. You enter this state when your internal world stops contradicting itself, when your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs stop pulling in different directions, when your mind stops fighting your body, when your desire stops being a reminder of your lack, when your identity stops reflecting the past and begins reflecting the future you are stepping into. In the God state, you no longer try to manifest. You embody. You no longer try to attract. You become. You no longer send signals of separation. You radiate the frequency of unity. From this place, the quantum field does not respond to you as someone asking for change. It responds to you as the source of the change. Quantum physics describes the field as an infinite ocean of possibilities. Every potential version of you already exists within it. The God state is the level of consciousness where you tune into the version of yourself that already lives the reality you desire. It is the state where the observer and the observed collapse into one. The moment where separation dissolves and intention becomes reality through coherence. Jung understood this state as the self, not the small self shaped by wounds and memories, but the deep self, the organizing center of consciousness where wholeness lives. Mystics described it as unity. Neuroscience describes it as peak coherence. Quantum physics describes it as resonance with the field. No matter the language, the experience is the same. When you enter this state, you feel expanded, grounded, timeless, and aware of a deeper presence guiding everything. The God state is not emotional intensity. It is emotional stability. It is the stillness beneath all movement, the silence beneath all thoughts, the certainty that does not need evidence. When you operate from this frequency, the past no longer determines your identity, the future no longer feels distant, and the present becomes a point of creation instead of a point of reaction. This state is accessible through presence, through coherence, through the simple shift of becoming aware of the awareness within you. When you stop identifying with fear, lack, doubt, or effort, and instead identify with the consciousness observing all of it, you rise into the God state. It is not something you achieve. It is something you return to, something that has always been within you. When you live from this level of consciousness, the quantum field responds instantly, because you are no longer sending fragmented signals. You are sending the frequency of unity. And unity is the frequency of creation, letting go, the end of resistance. The moment you try to manifest something from a place of tension, fear, or urgency, you create resistance in the field. Resistance is not an emotion, it is a frequency. It is the energetic signature that says you do not trust what you are asking for. It is the vibration of someone who is trying to force reality instead of aligning with it. And the quantum field cannot respond to force. It only responds to coherence. Letting go is often misunderstood. People think letting go means giving up the desire or pretending they do not care about the outcome. But letting go is not about releasing what you want. It is about releasing the energy that blocks you from becoming the version of yourself who already has it. When you let go, you are not losing your intention. You are removing the interference between you and the timeline you want to enter. Most of your resistance comes from the mind. The mind tries to control everything because it is conditioned by past experiences. It fears repeating old pain. It fears losing safety. It fears stepping into the unknown. So it tries to manage the future with thought alone. But thought does not move the field. Frequency does. And frequency rises when the mind becomes quiet enough for the body to believe a new reality. Letting go is the moment the mind stops trying to control the outcome and the body begins to trust the path. It is the moment the inner tension dissolves. It is the moment you stop asking with fear and begin radiating with certainty. When this shift happens, the field recognizes your signal instantly. Divine neutrality is the essence of letting go. It is not coldness. It is not indifference. It is the clarity that comes when you are no longer emotionally attached to the fear of not receiving. In neutrality, you are at peace with the present and open to the future. You are not pushing reality, you are allowing it. When you let go, your energy stops contradicting your intention. Your emotional field stops sending mixed signals. And the quantum field can finally reflect the version of reality that aligns with your identity. Letting go is not weakness. It is alignment. It is the doorway into the God state, and the moment you walk through it, resistance collapses and reality shifts. The God state in the body. The God state is not only a shift in consciousness, it is a shift in the body. What you think you believe does not matter if your nervous system is still shaped by fear, doubt, or survival. Your mind may speak the language of intention, but your body speaks the language of truth. And the quantum field listens to the body first. When you enter the God state, something changes in your physiology. Your breath slows, your chest opens. Your muscles release tension without effort. Your heart produces a coherent electromagnetic field that radiates far beyond your physical form. This coherence is the signal the quantum field responds to. It is the biological expression of inner alignment. The body becomes an instrument of manifestation only when it is aligned with the identity you are stepping into. When you feel the experience of your future in your body, not just in your thoughts, you broadcast a frequency of certainty that cannot be faked. This is why the God state is so powerful. It does not rely on imagination alone. It activates the emotional and physiological signature of the reality you wish to access. You cannot enter a new timeline with a body still living in the past. If your nervous system is wired for fear, you will manifest fear. If it is wired for scarcity, you will manifest scarcity. If it is wired for doubt, the field will mirror doubt. But when your body shifts into coherence, the field mirrors coherence. It becomes impossible for reality to remain the same because the version of you perceiving it is no longer the same. This is why elevated emotions matter. Gratitude, love, peace, and wholeness are not just feelings. They are codes. They send signals to your cells, telling your body that the future you desire is already happening. Once your body believes, your mind no longer needs to convince itself. The identity becomes stable. The timeline becomes accessible. In the God state, your body becomes a broadcaster of divine intelligence. Your heart becomes a generator of coherent frequency. Your breath becomes a bridge between your physical form and your expanded consciousness. Your nervous system becomes a gateway instead of a barrier. This state is not forced. It is remembered. It is the natural condition of a human being who is no longer living from fear. When you are in the God state, your body does not react. It responds. It does not hold the past. It transmits the future. It does not block the field. It activates it. The moment your body enters coherence, the quantum field recognizes your signal, and reality begins to shift around you in ways that feel both miraculous and natural. Identity. The key to the God state. Your identity is the doorway into the God state. Everything you manifest, everything you attract, and every timeline you enter is determined by who you believe yourself to be in the deepest part of your being. You do not manifest from desire. You manifest from identity. The quantum field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Identity is not a set of thoughts. Identity is the emotional and energetic baseline from which you experience life. It is the place you speak from, act from, and feel from even when you are not conscious of it. It is the frequency that shapes your choices, your expectations, and your perception of what is possible. And if your identity is still rooted in fear, lack, or limitation, no amount of visualizing will change your reality, because you cannot manifest a reality that contradicts the self you are being. This is why most people struggle. They are trying to create a new life from the identity that is tied to the old one. They want abundance while identifying as someone who struggles. They want love while identifying as someone unworthy. They want confidence while identifying as someone insecure. They want freedom while identifying as someone trapped. The desire is not the problem. The identity is. And until the identity shifts, the field has no new instructions to respond to. The God state is the identity beyond identity. It is the moment where you stop defining yourself by your past, your emotions, or your circumstances. It is the moment where you stop saying, "This is who I am because of what I have lived," and you begin saying, "This is who I am because of what I am becoming." It is a shift from the small self to the expanded self, from the conditioned self to the coherent self, from the limited identity to the divine identity within you. This is why the phrase "I am" has been considered sacred for thousands of years. I am is not a statement, it is a command. It is the frequency through which the observer shapes reality. When you say I am, you activate a field of identity that the quantum field mirrors without hesitation. If you say I am afraid, the field reflects fear. If you say I am unworthy, the field reflects unworthiness. But if you say I am aligned, I am whole, I am abundance, I am love, you begin transmitting a new signature. A signature that matches the version of you living the reality you desire. This is the core of the God state. You step into the identity that already exists in the timeline you want to inhabit, not by pretending or forcing, but by embodying the emotional and energetic frequency of that version of yourself now. When you do this, the field must adjust. It has no choice. Identity is the instruction that collapses potential into form. Jung understood this deeply. He described the process of individuation as the journey of becoming whole, of integrating the fragmented parts of the self and reconnecting with the deeper center of consciousness. The God state is this center. It is the point where your ego, emotions, and awareness align under one single truth. You are not separate from the field. You are not powerless. You are not a product of the past. You are the awareness shaping the present. When your identity shifts, your perception shifts. When your perception shifts, your emotional baseline shifts. When your emotional baseline shifts, your frequency shifts. And when your frequency shifts, reality reorganizes. Not slowly, instantly. Because the moment you embody the identity of the version of yourself who already has the life you desire, the field recognizes you as that version and begins collapsing the timeline that matches your new state. Identity is not a concept. It is the mechanism that activates the God state, and the God state is the frequency that activates the quantum field. When you stop asking life to change and start becoming the self who already lives that change, everything transforms. The moment of the shift. There is a moment when everything changes and it does not happen outside of you. It happens inside. The shift is not a future event. It is not something the universe does for you. It is something your consciousness triggers through alignment. The shift is the instant your internal frequency matches the version of reality you have been trying to reach. When this match happens, the quantum field reacts immediately because it no longer perceives you as someone wanting a new timeline. It perceives you as someone belonging to. This moment often arrives quietly. There is no explosion, no dramatic revelation. Instead, there is a deep inner clarity, a sudden stillness, a sense of knowing without thought. Your body stops resisting. Your breath deepens. Your mind becomes silent without effort. You feel anchored in yourself in a way that is unfamiliar yet natural. You are not trying to believe. You simply know. This knowing is the signal the quantum field recognizes. The shift happens when your internal contradiction dissolves. When your desire no longer carries the energy of lack. When your identity no longer carries the weight of the past. When your emotions no longer pull you away from the version of yourself you are becoming. It is the moment where wanting transforms into being. The moment where effort transforms into alignment. You may have felt glimpses of this before. Moments when you were so present that the world seemed clearer. Moments when fear fell away for no reason. Moments when you felt connected to something larger than yourself. These were fragments of the God state. The shift is when these fragments come together and form a new identity, a new frequency, a new baseline. When the shift happens, your relationship with reality changes instantly. You no longer chase outcomes. You no longer ask if it is working. You no longer measure time. You feel the future inside you as if it is already happening because, in the quantum field, it is. Your energy tells the universe you have arrived, and the universe rearranges itself around that arrival. The shift is not luck. It is coherence. It is you stepping into the state where you no longer hope for a new reality. You embody the version of yourself who already lives it. And in that moment, the quantum field responds without delay. How to enter the God state step by step. Entering the God state is not about effort. It is about alignment. You do not climb into it. You drop into it. You do not force your way upward. You sink inward. The God state arises when you step out of the identity that is trying to manifest and step into the identity that already has. This shift is internal, energetic, emotional, and deeply physical. And you can access it through a simple sequence of inner movements that align your system with coherence. The first step is breath. Your breath is the doorway between your body and your consciousness. When your breath is shallow, your nervous system remains in survival. When your breath becomes slow and intentional, your body shifts into safety. The God state cannot enter a body that feels threatened, so you begin by breathing deeply, slowly, and rhythmically until your body softens. Your chest releases tension. Your shoulders lower. Your awareness drops from your head into your body. The breath stabilizes you. The second step is silence. Not the absence of sound, but the quieting of the inner noise created by thought. You do not fight the mind. You simply become the one who observes the mind. You stop trying to control what you think and instead watch the thoughts pass as if they are clouds drifting across a still sky. When you stop identifying with them, the mind loses power. And in that silence, the God state has space to emerge. The third step is presence. You bring your awareness to this moment. Not the past that shaped your fears. Not the future you are hoping for. Only the now. Presence dissolves the psychological identity, the one built from memory and anticipation. When you are fully present, the noise of the past disappears and the pull of the future fades. Presence returns you to your original consciousness. It is the foundation of the God state. The fourth step is emotional coherence. You choose an elevated emotion and allow it to rise in your body, not by forcing it, but by connecting to the version of yourself who already feels it naturally. Gratitude, love, peace, wholeness, or certainty. These emotions carry a different frequency than the emotions of survival. When the body feels an elevated emotion, it signals the field that you have entered a new identity. You are no longer broadcasting lack. You are broadcasting alignment. The fifth step is identity. You step into the version of yourself who already exists in the timeline you desire. You feel how they breathe, how they stand, how they think, how they move through the world. You do not imagine this version of you as distant. You bring them into your body. You feel their certainty, their calm, their clarity, their presence, their confidence. For a moment, you merge with the version of you who already is the outcome you seek. The sixth step is surrender. This is the point where you release the insistence that reality must change now. You stop gripping the desire. You stop measuring progress. You stop checking for evidence. You trust the field. You trust your identity. You trust the coherence of your internal state. Surrender is not giving up. It is stepping out of the way so the field can do what it cannot do when you interfere. The seventh step is embodiment. You rise from the experience as the version of yourself you accessed. You carry their posture, their attitude, their presence, their frequency. You do not return to your old way of moving, thinking, and feeling. You walk as if the reality is already yours. Not pretending, embodying, because the God state is not a meditation. It is a frequency you live. When you follow these steps, you enter the God state naturally. Your breath stabilizes your body. Silence stabilizes your mind. Presence stabilizes your awareness. Elevated emotion stabilizes your frequency. Identity stabilizes your reality. And embodiment stabilizes your timeline. The God state is not a miracle. It is coherence. And coherence is the signal the quantum field is designed to obey. How to maintain the God state daily practice. The God state is not something you visit once. It is a frequency you learn to live in. It becomes stronger every time you return to it, until eventually it becomes your natural way of being. Maintaining this state is less about discipline and more about awareness. It is not about perfection. It is about remembering who you are each time you forget. The first daily practice is micro-alignment. Throughout the day, you pause for a moment and check your internal state. You ask yourself one simple question. Who am I being right now? Not what am I thinking, not what am I doing. Who am I being? This question pulls you out of unconscious patterns and returns you to the identity you choose. The second practice is emotional hygiene. You do not allow negative emotions to build into a storm. You feel them as they arise, acknowledge them, and let them pass through your body without attachment. Suppression keeps you stuck in old timelines. Awareness frees you. When you release emotional tension quickly, your baseline frequency remains coherent. The third practice is simplicity. Complication pulls you out of the God state. The more you try to control everything, the more you collapse back into the small self. You maintain the God state by simplifying your energy. You focus on what matters. You release what is unnecessary. Your internal world becomes lighter and clearer. The fourth practice is returning to the breath. It is always available. It is always honest. It always tells you where you are. When you breathe deeply and consciously for even 10 seconds, your body shifts back into coherence. This reset is simple but powerful. It realigns your body with your awareness. The fifth practice is identity reinforcement. You remind yourself daily of the version of you who already lives the reality you are creating. Not by repeating empty affirmations, but by embodying the emotional state and posture of that self. You feel their confidence, their presence, their certainty, Identity becomes your anchor. The sixth practice is neutrality. You stop reacting to external events as if they have authority over your internal state. You do not let the world pull you out of alignment. You observe without collapsing. You stay centered even when circumstances fluctuate. This neutrality is not emotional detachment. It is spiritual strength. The seventh practice is gratitude. Not gratitude as a technique, but gratitude as a natural expression of coherence. When you are in the God state, gratitude rises automatically because you feel connected to something infinite. This feeling sustains your frequency without effort. When you maintain the God state through these practices, your energy becomes stable. Your identity becomes consistent. Your frequency becomes coherent. And when coherence becomes your baseline, manifestation stops being something you try to do. It becomes the natural consequence of your state of being. The God state is not temporary. It is who you truly are. And every time you return to it, you strengthen the timeline that is waiting for you. Practical examples. When you operate from the God state, the changes in your reality are not theoretical. They are immediate, tangible, and visible. You begin to notice that the world around you responds differently to you because you are responding differently to the world. Consider relationships. When you enter the God state, you no longer approach others from fear, insecurity, or the need for validation. You move from wholeness. Your presence becomes calm and grounded. People sense this coherence and react to you with more respect, more warmth, and more openness. Conflicts dissolve faster because your energy no longer fuels them. You are not trying to fix anything. Your state changes the dynamics effortlessly. Consider money. When you operate from lack, opportunities feel scarce. When you operate from the God state, your identity aligns with abundance. You think differently. You act differently. You feel worthy of receiving. Ideas flow. Decisions become clearer, and chances that once seemed out of reach begin to appear naturally. You stop chasing outcomes and begin attracting them through your presence. Consider healing. When you live in the God state, your body responds to the frequency of coherence. Your nervous system stabilizes. Your stress levels drop. Your immune system strengthens. Symptoms rooted in emotional tension begin to release. Healing does not become a miracle. It becomes the natural expression of alignment. Consider purpose. Instead of searching desperately for direction, you begin receiving insights effortlessly. Intuition becomes sharper. Synchronicities increase. You feel guided rather than lost. The next step appears when you do not force it. In all of these situations, the external result is not the cause. It is the consequence of your internal frequency. When your identity rises into the God state, reality has no choice but to reorganize around the version of you who occupies it. The journey into the God state is not a lesson you learn once. It is a remembering. A returning, a realization that the part of you seeking change was never the part capable of creating it. The shift you are experiencing is the shift from the small self to the expanded self, from limitation to coherence, from effort to alignment. You are not becoming something new. You are uncovering what has always been within you. As you integrate everything you have learned, you begin to understand that the universe has never been separate from you. The field has never been distant. The timeline you desire has never been unreachable. Everything you have been seeking already exists as a living potential inside the quantum field. And the God state is the key that allows you to access it. When you operate from this state, you no longer ask whether things will work out. You no longer wonder if the field is responding. You feel its response in your body. You feel its presence in your awareness. You feel its intelligence moving through your life in ways that defy logic but feel undeniably true. The God state is the frequency where manifestation stops being an attempt and becomes a natural expression of your identity. You begin to notice subtle changes in your perception. You see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You feel clarity where you once felt confusion. You act from intuition rather than fear. You respond from wholeness rather than reactivity. You move through the world as someone who is supported, guided, and aligned with something far greater than the mind can grasp. This integration is not about perfection. You will have moments of contraction, moments when old emotions rise, moments when the past tries to pull you back, but now you know the path. You know how to return. You know how to breathe yourself back into coherence. You know how to silence the mind and feel the truth in your body. You know how to shift your identity into the version of yourself who already holds the future you desire. With practice, the God state stops feeling like a peak experience and becomes your baseline. You begin to live more often in presence, wholeness, and clarity. You begin to trust the field. You begin to trust yourself. And this trust becomes the foundation of a new reality, a new timeline, a new expression of your potential. You are not separate from the field. You are not powerless. You are not waiting for permission to shift your life. You are the consciousness through which the field expresses. You are the awareness through which timelines collapse. You are the identity that reality responds to. And when you step into the God state, you remember this truth fully. This is the version of you the world has been waiting for. The version of you who no longer asks. The version of you who no longer fears. The version of you who no longer doubts. The version of you who remembers the power that has been within you all along. And when you live from that place, reality responds instantly. If this message resonated with you, subscribe now to stay connected with the energy that awakens you. Like this video to anchor this frequency in your field. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a transmission that your spirit needs. And comment below, I am the frequency. Let the universe hear your voice. You're not here by chance. You're here to rise and remember who you truly are.